Hello, my big backyard cactus fans. Today, what you see in front of me is my collection, not these. All of these cacti are cacti that I started from seed, and I can organize them a little bit better. Put these Solanacereus over here. These on this side, the Solanacereus and everything that is in this set of pots right here, are seeds that I got. I don't even exactly remember where I got them. They might have come from Unusual Seeds or from another source of cactus seeds. I don't really remember, but they're all cacti I grow from seeds. A lot of them are species seeds of different types. And over here, these seeds, the babies that are on this tray, are all Patrick Knoll hybrids. I ordered them from him, and they've been growing here for about 2 years. In fact, all of these seedlings are approximately 2 years old. And what I'm going to do today is repot them again. It doesn't look like it, but the substrate that they are in does have plenty of mineral in it. It does drain quickly. And these, as you can see by the size of my hand, are really tiny pots. But I'm going to be potting them up again today. I'm probably going to be separating some of them out into different pots or clustering some together in the same pot. And I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet, really. But as we turn around here are my supplies. I've got some various pots that I had outside in my shed. I've got these 4-inch pots, some smaller pots, these little bonsai trays, some slightly bigger clay pots than what they already are in, and that kind of thing. It's a little dark over here. Maybe I should turn on another light. Actually, I don't have another light to turn on. So that's what you get. It is this dark. All my lights are on. Anyway, and then over here in this bowl, I have my own cactus soil mix. This is tiny pumice plus some, the red stuff is that calcinated clay particles. There is some cactus soil. Actually, it's not cactus soil. There's some Pro Mix mixed into this. And really that's it. But you can see that there's more mineral here than there is organic. I do want them to still have some kind of organic content because these are such small cactuses that they can handle a little bit more moisture, and I really just don't want them to dry out. I want them to continue to grow. One of the problems that I seem to have had the first year with these cacti is that they grew incredibly slowly, and I think it's because they didn't have enough moisture. They weren't kept moist enough. They didn't grow very fast. They barely survived. They grew a whole lot more this past summer and even over this winter in here. I'll see if I can go back and find any photos of when I first moved these from their trays into these individual pots. But really, most of them were the size of the small cactus that's in here. They were very tiny. Now, there are some here that still haven't grown much. Sometimes I think that might be a result of the species. And like Capiopoa here, these are the only two I have. They're very small, but that grows a lot slower than Trichocereus do. So anyway, I'm going to set this camera up and get to repotting. All right, so the first cacti that I'm going to pot up are the Solanacereus series. This is a Solanacereus series species mix, as you can see by this tag. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants, and I'm going to put them all in the same pot. I have no idea what variety they are, or even if they might all be the same variety. To be honest, I can't really tell. They don't look a whole lot different from each other at this point. So my plan is to pot them all up into this blue pot and let them grow from there. So I'm just going to scoop in some of this soil to the bottom. I can probably put a good few inches of it in here. I filled it up to about right here. And now I'm going to pull my cacti out of their pots. To do that, I have some tongs that I'm going to use. Okay, so I've got these tongs that I'm going to use to hold onto the cactus, and I'm going to just dump them directly out into... I'm not really prepared, am I? I'll use this container to hold the soil that I'm removing. That way it doesn't contaminate or make a mess. I'm just trying to stay neat as possible with it. So I'll start with this one. I'll pull it out of here and kind of like dust it off. I think I'm gonna get a container of water. Hold on 2 seconds. Okay. This container of water I have over here on the side is so that I can take this cactus, which is kind of dry, and swirl it around and loosen up the existing soil. Loosen up the roots without damaging them too much. And get some of this existing soil off of there. I don't want all of the old soil, really. That's not the point of this. The point is to give these cacti fresh soil to grow into so they can soak up lots of good nutrients. But you know what? These roots don't look bad. This looks like it was a fairly happy cactus in there. And you can see, actually, check this out. If you look right here, you can see aerial roots. I know this is really hard to see. You can see the aerial roots have grown into the soil right there. So I think that's a little difficult to see. But anyway, so I'm going to take this. I'm just going to set them down for now as I clean them off. And then I'll figure out the placement once they're all cleaned off. Ugh, gross. All right. Take these two apart before I wash them off. Look how little soil I even had on this one. It definitely needed a chance at life. Yeah. Wow. Look at the root system on this one. This is the one that was parted in the bigger pot, and you can definitely tell it made use of that space. All right, I'll set these up here. Now I'm gonna go dump this water out and I will be right back. All right, well, I got a fresh container of water because, as you can see, I got the cactus itself so dirty in the process of cleaning the roots off that I need to give it a good bath. I I broke a piece off. Not good. Ugh. The hard part about this is that they just get gross and dirty, and now I probably have to wait till they dry off and brush them off with a paintbrush. So I'm gonna start with the biggest root system, and I'm gonna make a space for it in this pot so that it can be down toward the bottom a little bit. And then I'm gonna fill back in around it a little and put that one toward one side. It may look like I'm crazy putting all of these in one pot, but think about how cool that they're going to look all growing together. I mean, really, that's the idea, is that I have one really nice pot of this stuff. I haven't decided what would be a good one to put in the center, but I'm trying to put, I might save one out and give it away in a plant swap. I do like to share my plants, but I think 5 for here is a good amount in this pot. So this is kind of how 5 looks in the pot. So when I fill it up with soil, I think that's going to be a good amount for the pot. So let's get that completed. I'm going to move the littlest one out of the way. And then I'm going to add them in just a couple at a time. So I started, like I said, with this big one. Now I'm going to move over to this side and make sure that these are firmly, securely embedded in my new minerally soil. Tap that down. Make sure that the roots are completely covered. Pull this away from the side and make sure some soil gets behind it over here. Okay. I'm going to rotate these so that the longest ones stick out over the side, hopefully. This is going to be the most difficult pot up I have, really, because these cacti are so awkwardly shaped. I don't want to damage them, and I already have at least damaged one of them. And they have to kind of work around each other a bit. So my plan is I'm not really putting anything in the actual center of the pot. I'm putting all 5 of these around the center, like the petals on a flower. And let me pop this smaller one in here on the edge. Now, I'm just gonna tap the side of my pot to shake everything down and help settle everything in. And as I do that, I can see the spaces that I need to add more material, and I will do that as well. Beautiful. All right, let's show you the finished product. There you have it. One lovely blue pot full of Silene. Yes, it's a bit dirty right now. I have to let them dry off, but once they're dried off, I can brush all of those off with a paintbrush, and then I can even add some top dressing stone to it. I do have a mixture of like bonsai soil, which is all mineral, that I may use as a top dressing in the end. All right, the next cacti I'm going to repot are my 3 Astrophytum. All 3 of those are distinctly different, which is great. I'm excited about the fact that I bought an Astrophytum mix and I got 3 different Astrophytums. So I'm going to pot them up. I've decided what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to fill this whole container and I'm going to plant these 3 side by side or in a triangle in here. Then they will all have more room, but none of them will have too much room. And I think that that is the best option for these. So I'm going to follow the same process as before, and I'll show you when I'm done. One thing to note about these is that because they are such smaller cactus, they have much smaller root systems. The biggest root system is this one here on this Astrophytum. And obviously the littlest Astrophytum had, I don't even know if this is focusing, the littlest root system. It's probably not focusing. All right, so there it is. There's the Astrophytum mix. You can see how it turned out. This one is so tiny. I'm tempted to put some sand on the top of that just so that I can see them, but I think they'll be okay. I haven't decided yet, but there you go. All 3 Astrophytum in one pot, easy to keep track of. These 2 tiny cactus here are my Copiapoa. They are so tiny and small that what I think I'm going to do is just repot them back in the same pot, just give them fresh soil. All right, here you are. These are the Copiapoa repotted. I did put a very thin layer of sand on top, and that's because I couldn't see the cactuses on my dark soil mix. The granular mix I have is not very light in color, and I couldn't see the cacti. All right, so the next ones I'm going to repot are my Echinacea species mix. As you can see, looking in this pot, I've got in this pot, well, I'm not even sure these are alive. I'll determine that when I pull them out. In this pot, they're different from each other, which is great. So what I'm going to do is pot these all up, probably in the rectangle pot again, all together. And I will show you what it looks like when they're done. All right, well, it turns out that at least 3 of those Echinacea species mix were dead cactus. But you have here 1, 2 really nice cactus and 2 that still are alive, and I'm giving them a chance. I did put sand around the one really just so I could see it. It is exactly the same color as that terracotta colored clay stuff. So it really just looked like a rock, and I wanted to make sure that I knew there was a cactus there. But anyway, there's my Echinocereus. The next one I'm going to take care of is this Trichocereus Huasha Red. They're all the same age, but the one that's in the top pot is one of the ones that was from my grafting project that I did. You can look back on my YouTube and see that. When I degrafted it, I put it in a pot. I had to degraft them because the rootstock was dying. So that one's bigger than the others simply because of that, but really the others have caught up quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is pot these up now. All right, here is how the Cactus Seedlings Red came out. I've got 4 nice plants in my pot. All right, well the next 3 that I'm going to repot are individual cacti. I don't have a second one of each one. This is a Repotting species. This one is a Cactus species. And this one is an Cactus adustus. I don't actually know what that is, but there it is. So I'm going to pot those up individually because they don't match each other. All right, well, these 2 I put back in their original pots because they were still very small, but they got new soil. And this other one I put in a slightly bigger pot just because. Anyway, moving on. All right, well, it is another day, and the next one I'm going to repot is the Cactus Seedlings hybrids. I have 3 of these, and they're a decent size. I haven't decided what pots I'm going to put them in yet, but they are next. And here those are finished up. I'm not quite sure that I like that I planted them in this pot, but that will do for now. All right, so it looked like I was running out of my cactus soil mix, especially considering the biggish containers that I'm using. So I thought I would show you what I go ahead and I put into here. The first thing I'm going to put in here is a scoop of my Pro Mix, which is really that, which I'm keeping in this bin under here. So I'm just going to get this bucket and get a scoop of this material. There's plenty of like peat and things in here. It's basically potting soil. A lot of people would frown on that and say it's too organic, but by the time I'm mixing it up, it won't be. So I put some of that in there. Yeah, that looks good. And move on. Well, let's put my scoop back. And then I have this bin of soil right here. It's really rather heavy because there's a lot of things in this bin. All right, so I'll take the lid off so you can see it better. The next thing that I'm gonna go ahead and add in is some sand. I really need these out of the way. This is lava rocks. I haven't used these for anything yet. They're too big for this kind of thing. So I'm gonna get a big scoop of sand. This is, you know, builder sand or something, play sand, something like that. But a big scoop of sand goes in, maybe a little bit more. Then this bin is pumice. This is very small sized pumice. I'm going to put 2 scoops of this in here. Then the next thing I'm going to add is this material right here, which is calcined clay. And I'm going to put a bunch of that in there. In all reality, it's kind of expensive to buy this stuff, so I may leave it out in future mixes. But I'll put a bunch of that in there now. And we'll stir it up and see what we get. I don't like to have a completely inorganic soil because while I want my pots and my cacti plants to dry out, I don't want them to dry out to the point where the water never actually gets a chance to get to the roots. Like if the water runs completely in and out of my pots instantaneously when I water them, then the roots don't even have a chance to absorb any of that. So I tried to just get myself a very granular, well-draining mix. You can see the consistency here. This actually might be a little bit more organic than the previous mix. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add yet another scoop of the pumice. Now I use pumice, and a lot of people use perlite. But personally, I hate perlite. Perlite, to me, while I could complain because it's white, and white to me just says mealybugs and puts me off because I'm always can't tell the difference between a piece of pumice stuck to a plant and mealybugs. Pumice floats, which is really rather annoying, and it also blows away in the wind, and it always ends up like caught in my cactus spines and in all sorts of other places. Not pumice, the perlite. Perlite is what floats, and it's annoying. So pumice is heavier, and I like that better. The other thing I'm going to add, which I don't think most people add, is some Osmocote Plus. Not a ton. I'm just going to shake some in here and stir it up so that a little bit of this gets into the cactus soil. There might end up being only a couple pellets of it in my soil per pot. I'm not trying to be heavy on fertilizer. I'm just trying to make sure that there is a bit of nutritional content there. I'll stir that in. And the last thing I'm going to add to the mix, I'm not even sure will help. I add this mycorrhizomes to it. It's supposed to be really good for your plants, for the root systems of your plants. Whether it works in cactus soil or not, I don't know. One of the things is a mycorrhizae, I think, is kind of like a fungus, like it's a living being. So if it's alive and needs moisture to actually do anything, then I'm completely wasting it in here because cactus soil doesn't stay moist that long. But if it will help with the root system then I would love to have some in here and encourage it to grow. So now that I've got another big bowl of cactus soil here, I will turn this camera off and go back to potting up my babies. All right, well, the next two cactus I'm going to repot, well, 3 cactus, but these are a Trichocereus hybrid mix. I got 3 little babies in here. At least 2 varieties, considering the spine colors are different, so that's fun. And I will go ahead and get them potted up. I think I'm going to put these 3 into this pot. All right, there we have this one, the Trichocereus hybrids. Now we're going to put this one up here, and we're going to move on to the next set of cacti. Now I've moved on. I've got all my more generic species mixed cacti done, and I'm going to move on to what I have, the seeds that I started that were from Patrick Knoll. And as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 varieties of those here. Oh, plus this one, the 5th one, which I'm not certain is alive. This was a degraft that doesn't really have any roots. I'm not really certain what's going on with that. It's probably dead. That one I don't even think I'm going to repot. I'm going to leave it as is, but not get rid of it. But all of the rest of these are going to get repotted. So I'm going to start with these guys here. Gracers Urfina by SB. It's Piano, which I think is from Patrick Knoll, 2019.84. And these are his seeds. Let's see what happens. All right, well, here's the after on that one. I decided to just put it into this pot. That's definitely more soil than they had before. Okay, well, the next ones I'm gonna pot up are Rosa California / Shonsti / Freya by Kai, K-A-I is what it says. This is a Piano 2020.0133, which is Patrick Knoll's number for it. As you can see, I've got 2 living ones in here and a dead one, and 1 living one in here, which is really tiny compared to the other 2. I think I'm going to do the same thing as before, just get that 3-inch flower pot and put all 3 of these in it. Okay, well, here's how those 3 came out. Got 4 more here. These guys also have a complicated numerical name that I don't necessarily understand. It had the number RL.2005.29. KA7. No idea whose number that is. But it says it's Flying Saucer by Cantora by Apricot Glow. And the P&O number is P&O.2020.138. That's just a guess that it's an 8. I can't really read my own handwriting. Markers smudge. But anyway, I have 4 of these. And there's not that many differences between them. So for all I know, they'll come out very similar to each other. But we'll see that in another 5 years when they decide to flower for me. But I'm going to take all 4 of these and I'm going to pot them into this clay pot here. That should give them plenty of room for the time being. All right, so right there is how that last set turned out. And now I'm down to my last type of cactus. These are Trichocereus Grazers Frude / Cantora hybrids. And I have quite a few of them, so it's going to take me a few pots to get them all potted up. But when they were done, I will show you what I've got. All right, well, of that last variety, I ended up with 13 baby cactuses. Actually, there's 14 because one of these, I believe in here, or maybe it's over here. But one of these 4 has a tiny little baby that's still kind of attached to it. I didn't want to separate the 2 because I thought I would break it. So anyway, what you see here is 4 itty bitty ones that I put some sand around so I could see better. And 4 in each pot, and then the biggest one I potted on its own. So that was my most successful of the seeds that I had started. I had more of that than anything else. And now we will see how they do this summer, if I can get them to grow bigger, and maybe eventually someday they will flower. Well, that's it. That's all the cactus repotting that I intend to do for at least a while. Anyway, these guys will stay in these pots all summer. The one thing that's going to be tricky now is that last winter I bottom watered all of these by filling these trays with water and letting it soak up into the pots. And I don't think that that's going to work very well. It would work okay with the terracotta pots probably, but these pots have little feet on the bottom that you can see, and that's going to make that difficult. So I may have to go back to top watering all of my cactus babies. I'm not sure whether it was the fact that I was bottom watering them or the fact that the soil was more organic, but they grew a whole lot better in the summer. They were in those tiny pots than they did in the previous year when I had first planted them. But I'll try to keep you updated on all of these cacti, which I have grown from seed. Anyway, thank you for stopping by and watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.